Hey everyone, it's Jennifer from StampTherapist.com. I wanted to do a video to show you guys how to use Brusho, which I know there are a lot of videos out there now on Brusho, but this is for anyone who hasn't seen one, and for my customers, of course. So Brusho is very artistic. It is not ever going to look the same. Every time you do it, you're going to get a different look, basically, and so you have to know that going in so that you don't expect perfection or expect to copy something exactly. The only time you might be able to do that probably is when you watercolor with Brusho. So it's a fine crystal of concentrated color. Stampin' Up sells 5 colors: yellow, brilliant red, Prussian blue, gamboge, which is orange, and moss green. They all come together for $30, which is a great deal because this thing is full of that fine powder. I just did the cards I'm going to show you, I just did in a class live with 17 people making all of these cards, and I can feel that this is completely, it feels full. Okay, so Stampin' Up recommends, and I think a lot of people do, not to open it. So there's a thing here, you can break the seal and rip that off and take the lid off. But because it's such a fine powder, and the moment it gets wet, like, you don't see a speck here on your paper or on your card, but it's there, and the moment it gets wet, it's, you know, activated. So we don't want to get powder where we aren't using powder. So it's recommended you take your paper piercing tool, kind of like that, and poke a hole. Some people do up to 3 holes is what I've heard. I've only done 1, and plenty of powder has come out. So I poked that hole with the paper piercing tool, and then just stick a thumbtack or a piece of tape over it to keep it from spilling if you knock it over. Let's see. So the crystals get where you can't see them. I already told you guys that. So you got to be real careful. Use lots of scratch paper when you're working with this, and paper towels. And basically, once you switch, like say you were making this card, you're fine to keep making more and more. But once you switch to new colors and new cards, clean all that stuff up, especially if you had a dark color like blue or red, so that you don't get those colors mixed in, because there'll be a little crystal there that you didn't even see. I've learned not to get my paper wet until I'm ready to put the Brusho on, like it's actually in hand, because the paper dries really quickly. And I'm going to use watercolor paper today, but you can also use shimmery white. I've seen it done on glossy white, and I also have seen a sample where she did it on a window sheet. However, if you scratch it, it'll come off, but if you do the window sheet and then flip it over, then it can't get scratched, and that looked really cool. Let's see what else. Don't wet your paper. Oh, I told you guys that. Oh, I also like to have a bowl of water around to rinse my aqua painter in when I'm working with it, because the colors are so concentrated. So if you have excess, you can dip it in a bowl of water or go run it under the sink. And when your project's all dry, you can turn it upside down and thump off excess crystals. In most cases, you need lots of water for the technique to work best. So that's most cases. I'm going to show you guys 4 different techniques. Okay, so Beautiful Day is one stamp set you can use with Brusho. Obviously, you can use it with anything, but this is on the page with it in our Occasions Catalog 2018, and it's a great set. That's what I'm using today. Okay, so I'm going to get started. The first card I'm going to do is this one, and this sample actually came out with a couple of holes here, and knowing what I know now, I would have fixed that with my aqua painter. However, it's okay. Will live. So I have a piece of watercolor paper. It's 3 3/4 by 5, because this Night of Navy is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, we're going to take, for this technique, it's wet to dry. So wet first, dry second. We are going to take our aqua painter and squeeze it. There's water in the barrel. If you don't know what an aqua painter is, you get 2 in a pack. You unscrew this, put water in there, screw it back on, and then you just squeeze it gently to paint. But for this technique, we want to squeeze it even more so that we can get lots of water on here. Now, the more water you put, if you don't put enough water, it's not going to work. But the more you put, of course, the longer it's going to take to dry. When we did this in class, and now I'm just going to tap, I've learned from watching other videos that this seems to be the easier way to control it. Look at how awesome. So you can tap on slightly slower, basically, and control it versus salt and pepper shaking. Now, I am doing a video here, so obviously I missed some spots here with the water, so I'm going to add a little water there and hope that mixes around pretty. Because if you actually paint it with the aqua painter at this point, it's going to blend it together and not give you the swirling that we're going for. But again, I promise this looks different every time you do it. So if you did exactly what I just did, the next time you could get a completely different look. Sometimes you get that starry night look, sometimes it's more blended together like this, and so on. Now, what you want to do is set it aside, and I'll give you guys a tip. In my class, for the class, I tried to perfect the drying time. So what we came up with, or what I came up with before class, is that 7 minutes excuse me, 7 minutes gives you enough time, depending on the amount of water you put. Let me rephrase that. 7 to 10 minutes will give you enough time that you can then take Stampin' Up's heat tool that we currently sell and put it on low, which is number 1, and finish drying it. That will speed up how quickly you can finish your projects. It will take a lot longer to dry completely natural. So 7 to 10 minutes. I just set a timer for 7 minutes, and then see where it's at that time. And if it's not complete, then I add 2 to 3 minutes to my timer, and then I heat set it with the low setting, which is number 1 on Stampin' Up's heat tool. So here's this card again. I used the dies from Celebration free with a $100 purchase. You also get Celebrate in that set of dies. Amazing You and Celebrate. So that's one of the cards we made. Yay. Then I'm going to show you guys this one. So for this card, we did the exact same background. However, on this one, and again, make sure your space is clean. On this one, we use 2 colors, yellow and gamboge. And you can combine colors on pretty much anything you're doing. I'm holding it this way because of the lighting in here where I'm standing, to make sure I can see that I actually have water everywhere, as you guys saw in the blue card. You can mix colors either for watercoloring to get a new color, or to get an effect like what we're going to do now and on the next card. And really, I'm only showing 4 things today. You can do so much more even than this, and it's just definitely a product to just play with and see what happens on different surfaces and everything. Again, I want to stress this, it only activates where the water is. Now I'm adding a touch of orange, and you can see that the yellow actually has a little orange in it, which is cool. So when you do this technique, you're going to see some of those colors, but you won't see those necessarily when you blend it. Now, I really should have added more water again, but don't you love it when you're teaching a class and it doesn't go the way it did at home? So it's kind of the same deal, but I can add a few drops here. It's just a different effect when you add the water after, so that's why I try not to do that too much. But when you have better lighting and you can see well, but it's still going to give me an awesome background that would look perfectly awesome on this card. Now, you can watercolor with gamboge. So you can actually take a painter's palette and put water in it and add Brusho. Here we go with my mixing up words. Or you can take something like one of Stampin' Up's clear blocks and put some color on it. And then make sure your aqua painter is wet, but this time it doesn't have to be soaking wet. Mix that up. You can even squeeze if you need it to be diluted a little bit. And then you just paint just like you would with normal watercoloring. So, and I'm not, never have claimed to be an artist. So I'm not the best with the shadows and light and all that stuff. But I'm sure a lot of you watching the video are very artistic. And so you know where to leave some white space and all that stuff. You can do all that stuff, but look at how smooth the color is now. But yeah, it's so much more vibrant than what we can get a lot of times with just our inks. So it's really cool. Then you can let this dry or not, depending on the look you want, and add your shadows and your highlights and all that stuff. I had a little more little more, what do you call it, Brusho on that side, so I'm gonna try to even my color out here. But I'm sure you guys get the idea. And then you can either let it dry, you can heat set it on that low #1 setting. And I'm just cleaning this off on a paper towel. I also like to have a piece of Whisper White near me to check to make sure it's really clean and there's no stray crystal on it. And then once it's dry, you can again go back and wherever you believe they should go, you can add those shadows. And of course you could do the same thing with the center and the leaf, which I used moss green and, which is right here, and yellow for the center, moss green on the leaf. So that's how I colored that in. Now you'll see here the coloring is off, like how it looks, but this was my class sample, and I told them I'm not a watercolor artist, and I was experimenting, and that's what we came up with. So, but again, you'll just add those lights and darks where you want. All right, next up is this card, and this was everyone's favorite technique. That's what the card looks like. The butterfly is heat embossed in clear powder. You could also use white, same effect. Now we're gonna, for this one, we're gonna put the aqua painter away, and we're gonna bring in our Stampin' Spritzer, and we're gonna go dry to wet. Now here's where I'm gonna move these other samples that I did, because here's where we're gonna get a nice sprinkling all around, and that will need to be cleaned up. Okay, so we're going to start for my sample with blue. And in class, I told them you kind of want to cover it with blue, but don't do too much, which is very non-specific directions, but about that much blue. Some people did more, some people did less, some people did more of other colors instead. Perfectly fine. Then we're going to kind of look at where some blank spots are and put yellow. Just to remind y'all, I just like the tapping method better. Someone else said that in a video, that you get more control, and I definitely agree with that person. I don't remember who said it. So for me, tapping versus salt and pepper. I told them we're not eating in class today. And then just a touch of orange for this one. Now here's the magic, and you guys, well, I don't know if you can see, but I got some crystals out there. So we're going to spritz it. And basically, I don't do it from the top. I do it like at an angle from the back here. And again, when I teach classes, I have to count things out and figure out. So I did about 12 to 15 spritzes for this card. So I am going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, look at the magic, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think that looks really cool. So you have to determine, does it look, is it enough for you, or do you want to spritz it some more? And that's, you know, the whole beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I probably could use a little more right here, actually. Let me try to aim it. It's very difficult to aim spritzers. There we go. Once this dries, again, you can set it for 7 minutes. And on this, it actually is not as wet as the other, so 7 minutes is usually good. then you can heat set it right on over the embossed, because it's a low setting. And then you can take a paper towel and wipe off any excess from the embossed image. So isn't that cool? And I mean, again, it looks so different every time you do it. It's just, and of course it depends on how much you put of what and where it landed and how many, you know, extra orange crystals were in the yellow and all that stuff. So extremely cool. All right, I have one more technique to show you guys. But like I said, it's not necessarily the only 4 techniques you can do with Brusho. I'm going to bring in a new paper towel. I want to get all the blue far away from me. Let these dry. Okay, so this one has the butterfly heat embossed on it as well, but it's in the corner. And I'm bringing back the aqua painter. Now this is one where, when I've been working a lot with other stuff, when you do this technique, you really need to make sure it's clean, because we're going to paint where the butterfly is. And if there's, you know, red on here, for example, then it'll mess it up. So where the butterfly is embossed in its wings, we're going to add water. And this one is this technique, which I'm actually going to pull it off screen. I'll put the card here so y'all can look at that while I do it, so I can see what I'm doing. Where you don't have to soak it, but definitely more water is better. You don't have to, excuse me, you don't have to worry about applying the water in between the lines of the wings, because the embossing powder will separate it automatically. So just paint over the entire image as if it's one. But do know that if you go outside the lines, or you, well, basically if you go outside the lines or get water anywhere there's no wings, you're going to have color there, which is fine. A little bleed is always fine with this, you know, with Brusho, period. But just be aware of that. Okay, I think I got it everywhere. So I'm going to go with yellow. So wet to dry. But I only put the water on the wings as a reminder. And then add, you know, basically add the amount of yellow here is when are the wings all colored in, and / where I place the water. And then we're going to add a touch of gamboge to give it a little interest. And that is that one, y'all. And it dries so cool. And then for this, you need to let it, if you're making a card just like this, it needs to dry completely. So set your timer for 7 minutes, check it, heat it. And then on all of these, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, but in case I didn't. So if this blue one were dry, then after I heat set it, I turn it upside down and thump off the excess powder that's not activated. Okay, so for this card, you for sure have to do that, because we have some crystals that are not activated, and they're probably everywhere. So when it's completely dry, I'm going to flip it over, that paper upside down in the trash or wherever, and give it a nice hard thump. Then I'm probably going to blow on it. I'm going to try not to brush them like this, because it can make streaks, but you want it completely clean and dry so that you can then make a nice Prussian blue watercolor wash on that background. And so for that, because Prussian blue is dark, you want to really water it down. Or you could use the painter's palette, like I said. So I'm squeezing this to get a lot of water. And then, of course, on watercolor paper, on Whisper White is not really good for, as you can see right there, it's like peeling up already. But on your watercolor paper or shimmer white or glossy, make that watercolor wash of Prussian blue there. So that's what I did for that background. So that's, none of my samples are dry yet, because it has, I don't know if it's been 7 minutes probably, but we haven't put the heat tool to it. So I can't do, except this one, the watercoloring dries really quickly. So I can't show you those finished. However, we can bring back in our samples from class and take another look. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out with Brusho. It's just super cool. Oh, I have a couple other samples. This was one that I intended to do this technique, but then I ended up spritzing it because I forgot. And so it gave a really cool look, but it wasn't what I was going for. So I scrapped it for class and I just added amazing, and I think it's really pretty, but again, it just shows different techniques you can get. So I got a lot more splatter, and I do think it's really cool, just different. This one I was trying out an idea I had, but apparently this is out there. I'm not, you know, that original. So this background, not the red stamp, but the background stamp of the sunflower from Painted Harvest, I just turned the stamp upside down. It's photopolymer, so I wasn't concerned about damaging it, and I spritzed it a lot because the first time I did it, it was too dry, so I spritzed it a lot where it was soaking wet. I stamped it, and then I sprinkled the yellow on, tapped the yellow on, and let it dry. So it bled some, you know, I just thought I did think it looked cool. And then I stamped these on top when it was completely dry. A friend of mine did another sample like this with the same set, but she did 3 flowers and just used way more water, so there's way more bleeding, and it's extremely cool. And then I saw a sample like this online. Again, I never remember where I see anything, but I saw it on either a blog or a video or Pinterest. But it was similar to this. I didn't go find the card when I made this one. I just knew she had a Brusho background and the mermaid. And so really, really cool. And this was, again, I was trying to do this background for this class, and I think I spritzed again instead of using the aqua painter, which it's fine, but not what I intended. And I ended up with that, and so I just laid it aside, and then I came back later and thought, I could make that mermaid card. So keep that in mind. Another cool thing to do with Brusho is just make a bunch of backgrounds. Just play with it. Get out your watercolor, your shimmer white, and glossy, whatever. Use your aqua painter, spritz it, do all kinds of things, and then let the paper speak to you and see what you should put on top of it, which is what happened with this one. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I think you know that you can purchase any of these products from me on my website. It's Jennifer's with an S.stampinup.net, or you can just go to my blog and find a link there, links to all the catalogs, all that stuff. You can request catalogs from me. I have an online ordering special every month in 2018 where you'll get a free class packet sent to you with a $25 order, and if it's $50, you get the class packet plus a free accessory that you'll use on your projects. So pretty good deal. If you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, post questions and comments below. And I guess that's it. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you.